Throughout history, there are very few men who have managed to achieve great conquests. However, only 6 of them achieved the unimaginable, and were very close to conquering the entire world. Come with me to see who these characters were. Number 6. Gaius Julius Caesar, born in 100 BC, is an icon of ancient Rome, an amalgam of extraordinary military skills and excessive political ambitions. His life, marked by legendary conquests and a tragic destiny, transformed the course of Roman history and left a legacy that resonates in the narrative of the empire. Born into a patrician family, his connection to the Julia gens gave him a solid political and social foundation. However, his early life was marked by political conflicts in Rome. Allying himself with influential figures such as Pompey and Crassus, Caesar emerged as a central figure in the First Triumvirate. Caesar's military conquests are the essence of his legacy. The campaign in Gaul between 58 and 50 BC cemented his reputation as an unrivaled military commander. His innovative tactics and ability to win the loyalty of his troops brought him resounding victories, expanding the boundaries of the Roman Empire to the north and west. The die is cast, uttered by Caesar as he crossed the Rubicon River in 49 BC, marked the beginning of the civil war against Pompey in the Senate. The Battle of Pharsalia in 48 BC sealed Caesar's victory and catapulted him to absolute power. Named perpetual dictator in 44 BC, his rise raised concerns among those who feared the concentration of power in a single person. The last days of Julius Caesar are tragically famous. The conspiracy led by Roman senators, known as the Conspiracy of the Liberators, culminated in his assassination on March 15, 44 BC, known as the Ides of March. Caesar was stabbed in the Senate, and his death unleashed chaos in Rome. Caesar's death led to the collapse of the Roman Republic. The struggle for power between the liberators and Caesar's supporters sparked new civil wars, and eventually, Mark Antony and Octavian, future Emperor Augustus, allies in the Second Triumvirate, avenged Caesar's death by defeating the conspirators at the Battle of Philippi in 42 BC. Number 5. The life of Adolf Hitler is a fascinating and terrifying study of how one individual can rise to power and lead a nation to devastation. Born in Braunau am Inn, Austria, in 1889, Hitler emerged as a charismatic leader in interwar Germany. His ability to channel social discontent and his oratorical skills took him to the top of power, transforming his fanatical vision into a totalitarian regime that threatened world peace. Hitler's rise began with his participation in the German Workers' Party, which later became the Nazi Party. His nationalist and anti-Semitic rhetoric resonated in a country affected by the humiliation of the First World War and the economic crisis of the 1930s. Hitler became chancellor in 1933, and with the enabling law, he consolidated his power, eliminating the civil liberties and establishing a totalitarian state. Hitler's conquests began with the annexation of Austria in 1938, followed by the invasion of Czechoslovakia, and finally the invasion of Poland in 1939, which sparked World War II. The German military strategy, known as Blitzkrieg, surprised and destabilized neighboring nations, leading to the occupation of France, the Netherlands, and much of Europe. However, the invasion of the Soviet Union in 1941 marked a turning point. The brutality of the war on the Eastern Front and the entry of the United States into the conflict changed the global dynamic. The accumulated defeats and the great resistance of the Allied forces weakened the Third Reich. The atrocities of the Holocaust, the persecution of minorities, and Hitler's destructive ideology were revealed in their full magnitude. Hitler's final days witnessed imminent defeat. Taking refuge in his bunker in Berlin, he witnessed the fall of the German capital to Soviet forces. On April 30, 1945, aware of his inevitable capture, Hitler committed suicide along with Eva Braun, his wife. The dream of the Third Reich collapsed, but the human cost and devastation left by its regime persisted. Number 4. Cyrus the Great, born around 600 BC, is a monument to military daring and political vision in ancient times. Founder of the Persian Empire, his life is marked by impressive conquests and a legacy that has endured through the centuries. Cyrus was born in Anshan, part of modern-day Iran, and belonged to the Achaemenid dynasty. His reign began amid regional turmoil and Babylonian oppression. In 559 BC, he rebelled against his grandfather Astyages, king of the Medes, and established the Persian Empire by defeating the Median army. This event marked the beginning of a lineage that would become known for its tolerance and efficient management. Cyrus's conquests were notable both in extent and method. In 547 BC, he defeated Croesus, king of Lydia, securing Anatolia. The conquest of Babylon in 539 BC, it is a crucial milestone in your career. Cyrus implemented a cunning strategy of conquest, gaining the acceptance of the Babylonian population by presenting himself as a liberator and restorer of temples. The famous Edict of Cyrus, also known as the Cyrus Cylinder, is a testament to his tolerant policy. This document, found in the city of Babylon, proclaims freedom of worship and the repatriation of deported peoples. Cyrus's magnanimity toward conquered cultures contributed to the stability of his empire. The last days of Cyrus the Great are shrouded in some mystery. He died in 530 BC, during a military campaign in the east, possibly in combat. Some sources suggest that he was killed in a battle against nomadic tribes, while others indicate that he died of natural causes. His body was taken back to Pasargadae, his hometown, where he was buried in a monument that later became the tomb of Cyrus. The legacy of Cyrus the Great is palpable in the history of Persia and beyond. His empire, known for its efficient administration and religious tolerance, laid the foundation for future Persian empires. Number 3. The figure of Napoleon Bonaparte, born in Corsica in 1769, is a crossroads in history that has left an indelible mark on the political and military panorama of the 19th century. His rise to power, his military conquests, and his eventual fall are crucial episodes that have shaped the course of European history. Napoleon's rise to power began during the French Revolution, a period of social and political upheaval in which he emerged as an exceptional military leader. His victories in Italy and Egypt gave him recognition and popularity. In 1799, he carried out a coup d'état and proclaimed himself first consul, consolidating power in his hands. In 1804, he proclaimed himself Emperor of the French, marking the beginning of the First French Empire. The Grande Armée, the army led by Napoleon, was noted for its discipline and tactical efficiency. The victories at Austerlitz, Jena and Friedland expanded the limits of the empire, spanning from the Iberian Peninsula to Russia. His strategic and tactical skill allowed him to forge an empire that rivaled those of Alexander the Great and Julius Caesar. However, the invasion of Russia in 1812 marked a turning point. Inclement weather and fierce Russian resistance led to the disintegration of the Grande Armée. Despite his triumphant return in the Leipzig campaign in 1813, Napoleon was defeated at the Battle of Waterloo in 1815. Exiled to the island of Elba, he returned briefly in the 100 Days before his final defeat at Waterloo. Napoleon was banished to the island of St. Helena in 1815, where he spent the last 6 years of his life. Away from the political scene, he dedicated time to dictating his memoirs and reflecting on his legacy. His last days were marked by illness and isolation. He died on May 5, 1821. Napoleon's legacy is complex and subject to diverse interpretations. His Napoleonic Code laid the foundation for modern legal and administrative reforms. His influence on politics and culture persists, but his imprint is ambivalent, since his conquests also brought suffering and destruction. Number 2. Alexander the Great, born in Pella, Macedonia, in 356 BC, is a fascinating account of extraordinary military exploits, leaving an indelible mark on ancient history and establishing a legacy that endures to this day. From his youth, Alexander showed signs of greatness. Educated by the philosopher Aristotle, he inherited the expansionist ambition of his father, Philip II of Macedonia. Upon the death of Philip in 336 BC, Alexander ascended the Macedonian throne at the age of 20. His reign was imbued with an ambitious vision: carry out Greece's revenge against the Persians and emulate the heroic deed of Achilles in the Iliad. The conquest of Persia was Alexander's most notable achievement. In 334 BC, he crossed the Hellespont with an army composed mainly of Macedonian hoplites and Greek auxiliary forces. The victory at the Battle of Issos in 333 BC, on Darius III, marked the beginning of the fall of the Persian Empire. Alexander advanced through Asia Minor, Egypt and Mesopotamia, establishing an empire that stretched from Greece to India. The Battle of Gaugamela in 331 BC, where he defeated Darius III, consolidated his control over Persia. However, as he advanced towards the east, the demands of his army and the vastness of his empire generated tensions. In Bactria, his troops mutinied, demanding to return home. Despite resistance, Alexander continued towards India, where he won the Battle of the Hydaspes in 326 BC. His conquests, however, had a high cost in human lives and in the cohesion of his army. After reaching the Indus River, the fatigue and resistance of his men led him to reconsider his advance. The return to Babylon, which began in 324 BC, was opposed by his generals, who feared his divine and oriental ambitions. The last days of Alexander the Great were marked by illness. At the age of 32, in 323 BC, he contracted a high fever and died in Babylon. His sudden death triggered succession conflicts among his generals, known as the Diadochos, and marked the end of the Hellenistic period. Number 1. The life of Genghis Khan, whose birth name was Temujin, is an epic tale of resilience, exceptional military strategy, and the creation of the vast Mongol Empire in the 13th century. From the steppes of Mongolia, Genghis Khan emerged as the leader who unified nomadic tribes and carried out conquests that would change the course of history. Born around 1162 into a Mongol tribe, Temujin faced adversity from a young age. His father was murdered, and his family was destitute. However, he displayed leadership skills from an early age and, through marriage alliances and cunning political tactics, unified the tribes under his leadership in 1206. He adopted the title Genghis Khan, meaning the Universal King, marking the birth of a visionary leader. The Great Yasa, a code of laws promulgated by Genghis Khan, ensured stability within the emerging empire. But his vision was not limited to internal administration. Genghis Khan directed his conquests toward distant horizons. The military campaign he waged from the 1200s until his death in 1227 transformed the Mongol Empire into the largest contiguous empire in history. Genghis Khan's military tactics were innovative and deadly. His forces, highly mobile and skilled in guerrilla tactics, conquered vast regions of Asia and Europe. From China to the Caucasus, no region was immune to its expansion. The famous invasion of Juchid Rus and the conquest of Persia, among other campaigns, cemented his legacy as an unparalleled military strategist. Genghis Khan's final days, although shrouded in mystery, were marked by the continuation of his military campaigns. He died in 1227, but the empire continued under the leadership of his successors, the Khagans, and his grandsons, especially Kublai Khan, who expanded the empire into China and founded the Yuan dynasty. Genghis Khan's legacy goes beyond his conquests. His empire facilitated cultural exchange along the Silk Road, connecting East and West. Furthermore, his contributions to administration and legislation left a lasting mark on the societies that came under his rule. If you liked the video, please like and subscribe to the channel. so we can bring you more of history's finest tops from around the world.